This is just a short introduction to myself as well as the language arts course for anyone who missed class today. So language arts is really about becoming great readers, writers, and communicators for language arts as a class, but also for other classes and really for all of life, whether that's communicating with our friends and family on social media, for work, or whatever else that you want to accomplish. Sixth grade language arts, we're just about building those basic blocks that will help you achieve that and do that through high school and beyond. Now, a little bit about me. Previously, I have taught at iTech for 4 years before leaving the last 2 years to go live in London while my partner Liz got a master's degree. So you'll see a little bit of our travels there. London, looking a lot like the Pacific Northwest, Prague, as well as Athens, and a few other places that I got to go visit. This summer we moved back and we've been busy getting ready for this year in schools, as well as doing a little bit of camping and hiking as well. Now, we'll be talking quite a bit about the 30 book challenge throughout the year and at the end of this presentation. So I did want to highlight a few of the things I've been reading or have read recently. So I've been reading a little bit of nonfiction, focusing on gardening, something I've done before but want to know more about, and this book's been really informative. When I was wrapping up my time in London, a few of my friends were kind enough to buy me this book, Favorite Poems of London, which I've read in the last couple of months since we returned. And last but not least, I love a good short story, and O. Henry is a master. So I've been reading a collection of short stories by him. What I've been really trying to do is make sure I'm constantly reading from all genres, and that's something we'll focus on in the 30 book challenge as well. Now, the 30 book challenge is also about finding that book that really makes you a reader. And some of us are already readers. We love it and know that really anything is good for us. For me, that first book, though, was Redwall. It was a fantasy novel, and it created a whole world that I could experience in those pages. What my hope is that you find that kind of book, or that you find new books that continue to make you a better reader and a more engaged reader and a stronger reader. Now, I'm going to take just a brief moment to really talk about how we're starting the year. This is a weird year to start, and we don't know how long we're going to be remote learning, what hybrid learning will look like. And so there's a couple things that I'm asking everyone to have, and a couple things that we'll talk about more throughout the year. One is flexibility. We need to be flexible to learn new things, to learn how to learn, and flexible just in case, as is likely, things don't go right the first time. We're also going to need to find balance. I want to make sure that we talk about how we're not always doing things on screens. We can take time away to learn away from a screen, even during distance learning. We'll also talk about how do you have good habits, like making sure you're getting enough water and enough sleep, those kind of things that keep you balanced, as well as your hobbies, things that you find fun, spending time with people that you care about so that you're not feeling burned out too early into the year. The third thing I want to talk about is empathy, and that just means to be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. This is always important, but I think it's really important during distance learning. You need to be able to imagine what it might feel like to not love reading, or maybe you might want to imagine what it feels like when you're having all sorts of tech difficulties while just trying to participate in class. We need to make sure that we remember that each of those little screens on Zoom is a real person sitting somewhere around Vancouver trying to learn with us. Last, we're going to need discipline, the kind of habits that allow us to get up and do the work we need to do and learn each day. So those could be little routines like making sure you fill up your water bottle at the beginning of the day, or that you take a nice stretch break and get some exercise during part of your lunch. Whatever it is, it's the things that are going to be those little routines that help you stay focused and keep track of your learning. Now, we can talk more about these, but these are my basic Zoom expectations, and they allow us to be empathetic. They allow us to be balanced and focused in our work. Make sure you're on time when you're making it to class. Be respectful. Use mute when you're not speaking. If you can, raise your hand to speak so that I know that you've got a question. Be sure to always use your real name, especially when we may not have met in person. Use the chat feature appropriately when given permission. There's also reactions on Zoom that allow you to show me that you're ready to move on, and I'll appreciate if you use those. We'll talk about that more. Last but not least, we're going to learn what it means to be a Raven, and what I hope you know is that you're a part of the Raven community now and that you make it what it is. So being kind, caring to do well, staying curious, those are all things that make iTech what it is. And so I want you to show up to Zoom expecting to be proud to be a Raven. Before we wrap up, just a little bit about the 30-book challenge. This is not a competition. It's also not graded, but the goal is that everybody in our class reads, that everyone reads a little bit of everything, because strong readers don't just read nonfiction or just read poetry. They read a little bit of everything, and they know how to read a bunch of different types of genres. We'll talk about genres next week. I also hope that the 30-book challenge will help you discover books that are right for you, either new ones or maybe your first one. And last, I want you to be able to do well in school, for middle school as well as high school, and that's going to mean that you need to read well. So our goal in 6th grade is to make sure you're comfortable reading all sorts of things so that you can do well in whatever you're doing, especially in school. Now, that starts today. If you have a book you are reading, great. We'll talk more about how to show what you're reading and keep track of all that for the challenge. But it starts today. If you've got a book, give it a go. Maybe you need to start a new one, find something, and take a few moments to read this evening. All right, that is all for today. If you missed class, I hope to see you soon. We hope you're well. Take care.